Welcome to Deep Dive Daily.
Good morning, Andy. Good morning to the Detroit Lions for getting 11 or more points in the second half last night, securing our primetime sweep. The only good thing going for me right now.
I know it's funny that we kind of had a bad week pregame, but of course we sweep all three primetime second halves. Should have been an open parlay, pay 6-1 instead, but that was nice. It seemed easy enough. The over got there as well in the second half, correct? Yeah, on the Andrews touchdown there, and the over in the game as well.
It was pushing before the Andrews touchdown.
Yes, we did have the 2 field goals. So it was always fun to read on the timeline when people are just horrified that, they're going for this. Like, just first Lions game ever? Like, ever? I mean, not only that, but I think it was kind of the right move. Like, just end the game, baby. Just to get some first downs, and then they scored, and things got a little squirrely from there. I don't know if scoring is the right answer there. I think probably going down as a tiny little bit of a fraction of a percent more win probability if you just end the game on kneels than giving them a chance to score twice with a very low probability onside kick. But they should get that guy from TikTok to do the onside kicks. If you haven't seen him yet, go find that. You seen that?
Yes,
you guys doing like onside kicks in his kitchen?
Kitchen cabinets,
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I had one thing. So when I do, and I've mentioned this before, when I do shows here, I almost always just go home for the second half after we do our halftime show.
Sure.
And it's dangerous to watch on your phone because you could crash and die. And you're operating a motor vehicle. It's a bad idea. Don't do that. So I have found the AM stations that carry all 3 primetime games.
Of course.
I know where they're at, and I listen. And I've mentioned that I just despise Kurt Warner.
Westwood One.
As an announcer. Yes, It's him and Harlan. I love Harlan. And I want to give him credit because here it comes. It was like the fourth. It was not the late fourth down. It was the fourth down in like the third quarter there. The earlier one they went for. And I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for my eye roll. Like, oh God, he's going to just get so bad. Like, oh man, your defense has been playing good. You got to just punt this because that's how he fucking is. And he took a little baby step forward. He didn't whine about it. He just like, I forgot that, some teams set up this fourth down because so many teams go for it nowadays, which felt still like a backhanded, you shouldn't do this, but it was better. It was an improvement. So little hat tip to Kurt Warner this morning. It's a Lions game.
Speaking of hat tips, nice Saginaw's hat there. Saginaw's Deli from Cirque, obviously. And speaking of fourth down aggressiveness, it was, if you don't know by now who Dan Campbell is, you learn, I guess. This was completely within the norm for him. And I thought in general, the calls that they had in those plays were pretty outstanding. The only thing I thought was, the only criticism I have is I hated the waiting until the fourth quarter to run that fourth down. Like they had an amazing play call that was just freaking absolute hit it out of the park to get the touchdown. But like you get the defense on their heels. Like you really want to let them completely regroup with the quarter break. Like I don't love that. Other than that, I thought it was awesome. And I got to say it is hilarious the way that the media reacts to Dan Campbell because he's not that much more aggressive than like the true correct model. It's a little bit more, but like, in the space of like, if people are leaning one way or the other, almost everybody leans conservative. He leans aggressive. And people equate him to a madman out there. Like, what is he doing? What is this crazy asshole doing?
I'm seeing a lot of people online being attacked for not leaning conservative lately. So Dan Campbell, just another victim. Dan Campbell, just another victim of that.
Antifa? Is he Antifa? That's what we have to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, we are like 4 years into his tenure, guys. Come on, let's catch up. This is what he does. Great game by the somebody mentioned Goff in the chat, John. Goff was very, very good, correct? My takeaway was the pass rush
sure.
for the Lions. I don't think Lamar looks slower. Somebody said, "Is he a step slower?" It's like, no, there's just like an extra guy who is getting free from their block, and he doesn't have a lane. Like it just felt like the lane wasn't quite there, and there was always somebody to grab his ankles because he looked pretty quick on a couple rollouts. It was amazing how swarming the a lot of time it was just four guys.
I actually pushed back a little bit on that. It wasn't like he was a step slow, like he's not as fast. It was his processing. It
His
felt like it was
decision
a
making
hair
looked a
slow.
little.
Decision making was a hair slow.
Some of the deep sacks he took. That I
Yeah.
agree with you there. It's like, what are you doing? You
Yeah,
can't
what are
take
you
it.
waiting
You
for?
can't.
No one's coming open downfield. Like it felt like he was just waiting for that.
Yeah.
Just I'm going to see something down there to take advantage of it, and it didn't happen. When if he had just made a quicker decision to tuck, run, let's get what we can get on the ground, he would have gained 8 instead of lost 8. And it felt like that's what has always made him a special player. So if he's turned that knob of his game down intentionally, that's worth tracking again, especially when they're playing the good teams. It's absolutely correct though to acknowledge and upgrade the Lions defensive line and their pass rush just generally. They played a great game last night. They had no problems with that, generating consistent pressure against that Ravens O-line, and they set a record, or at least a low light for Lamar's career of 7 sacks. I think that's the most he's ever been sacked in a game, or at least tied for most. So pretty incredible job by them. And yet 30 points are scored. So it's like it's a track meet. You got to score, which is where the aggressiveness comes in handy. I thought the Ravens defense was pretty horrific yesterday. The Lions kind of got their first look on every key play, it felt like. And when the Ravens were getting consecutive stops, it still set up third down where they just pressed the Sam Laporta button and he was open over the middle pretty consistently.
Like 4 times.
Yeah.
That guy was converting.
A lot of red flags about how the Ravens defense should be rating right now. And I know they were without Van Noy and Matabuke yesterday, but if your depth is that thin, that's a problem, right? I mean, we came into the season, I was considerably worried about the Buffalo Bills defense and what that would mean for their championship aspirations. And very clearly the Ravens defense is in that same conversation.
Yeah. All right. On to today, on to week 4. There's been some moves. The market is adjusting a little bit. I don't want to take credit for this, but I did bet some Seattle, and that is vacillating around the pick and is now pointing towards Seattle. It's a flipped favorite, Seattle -1 most places. That total is ticking down, which is interesting. I think maybe that's more of a downgrade on the Arizona offense, I suppose, and probably the market's starting to catch up with the Seattle defense being very much a top 10 defense. The other ones I had written down: Minnesota taking money in Dublin, Philadelphia ticking up a little bit. That total's starting to tick down. The Bears-Raiders total is ticking up, which again kind of checks out, I guess. Still no Carolina support. It's 5.5. I guess a lot of belief in New England and maybe disbelief in Carolina based on opponents so far. There was a little New York Giants love coming down off the 6.5 to 6. And then late in the week, Monday, small move to Cincy, but the heavy move there is to the under in that Monday night game with the Cincy offense. I'm guessing still getting some extra downgrades.
Yeah, those are all reasonable takes. Haven't seen Ravens Chiefs pop for some reason. You got to read it on why that's not up the bookmaker.
I went and looked a couple places. It feels like it opened similarly. Just because I think both teams, it wasn't like some impressive win for the Chiefs either.
Bet Online seems to be leading the charge to the under here. 48. Is that on its way to 47 even? That is a lot. Yeah, that was 49.5 at one point. I doubt we see a 3. That's probably hangs out in that kind of dead zone between 1.5 and 2.5 all week, I would guess. I wrote 2.5 in mine. That's what I'm assuming we're going to get.
And then the other one where there's some assumptions is, quarterback situations in Jaguars Niners and Washington Atlanta. Washington Atlanta, the number I'm using is a Mariota number. And with that, it's one of my biggest disagreements in the market because I don't know. I guess it's leaning towards Daniel starting.
I don't have any read there yet. We'll get something on Wednesday when practice happens, I think. I'm more excited than I ever would have guessed for this Browns-Lions game. I'm excited to see what the Lions offense looks like against a defense that has as good of a pass rush as the Browns are playing with right now. That's going to be a really fun game. Did not expect to say that out loud. Yeah, I haven't really been surprised or impressed by any of the market moves so far. Let's talk about power ratings.
Yeah, just real quick, not a lot on injuries overnight. Since yesterday, obviously, we updated on the Cowboys injuries, both of them being worse. The only one really was the Tyrone Tracy. That's going to be multiple weeks with the dislocated shoulder. So it's going to be more and more Scattaboo, which I don't love that's how you say his name. I want it to be an O. I want it to be a long O sound. I'll get used to it. It's a me problem. It's not a you problem, guys, but it bothers me. And then the other one was just the news came out that J.J. McCarthy has already been ruled out. It was kind of a no shit Adam Schefter, but they did come out and say it. It's going to be another week of wins in Dublin. He's not Irish. He just looks it.
Yeah, the cluster injury you mentioned for the Cowboys is concerning going up against the Packers, I got to say.
I'm a little surprised that number's not starting. I mean, it's a tough road game, but it is the proverbial bounce back after you had your lunch handed to you by a tough defense against a really gettable defense who is just and suffered a couple bad injuries on the other side of the ball. So could be a nice get right spot for them too.
Yeah, there's 6.5s available in market right now. Packers if you want them. I think that's a good bet. Okay. Numbers. I think it's worth adjusting. I mean, it's worth at least looking at what your Detroit numbers look like overall. And the funny thing is I've turned up Goff relative to where we were preseason. The defense, I've been back and forth all over the place trying to fine tune my Detroit numbers because I think I was a little bit wonky on them preseason. In the end, I'm basically at their same preseason rating that we talked about on the preview pod. My preseason number was 427. I'm at 417 now. So slight downgrade mostly on the defensive side of the ball, but Detroit is my number 3 power rated team after Baltimore and Buffalo. Baltimore comes way down for me. I was like up near 7 for them, but without Matabuke and Van Noy and defense and some of the other defensive issues we were seeing, I'm down to 20th best defense as rated here. Nothing other than coverage is better than average for what we're seeing from this group. And I still have Baltimore as my top rated offense, but there certainly are cracks too with the short yardage stuff that we saw last night.
Yeah, and I guess maybe it's a little more play calling because you have better plays in the bag. Obviously, we've seen it with the late touchdown any of the touchdowns to tight ends ever over the last couple of years and what you can get when you roll Lamar out and have some guys shuffling around in the front of the end zone. But I'm with you there. I'm not quite as low, but I have Baltimore as the 17th best defense is currently rostered, which is, I guess, surprising, all things considered. If you'd said that to me, 18 months ago when we were looking at it as one of the best defenses we'd ever seen, I'd be quite surprised. As I mentioned to Drew off the air, this is the week of the great shuffle for me. I pull in a lot of data for everything, but when you're looking at data from this year and it's just 1 or 2 games, it's hard to use. And Drew is even saying he goes a step further. He waits for 4 weeks worth. But once I get 3 weeks worth, I do start to put it into my numbers, and it makes some big adjustments. And I have to go, temper some of that and obviously adjust some things for injuries as well and look at why some things are looking the way they are. But after I did that, it did shake things up quite a bit. And I have Detroit as my second best team. I know that was kind of the tough one to grab hold of after the first 2 weeks because you played an incredibly tough opponent with an incredibly tough defense. You played a team that, their defense didn't look like they could stop anything, and who knows what you actually were. But after last night, the offensive numbers are just going to be up there, and the defense is fine. It's not elite, but it is fine. So they're up there behind Buffalo right now, and then it's tight. It gets, Green Bay, Philly, Baltimore, Chargers, Rams.
So Buffalo's number one for you?
Buffalo's still number one, yes.
What's your Buffalo number?
My Buffalo is a 70th percentile team. They're a 5.6.
Wow,
that is my top rating right now.
Okay. I have
everything kind of compressed a little.
Yeah, I'm way compressed. I agree with that. My number one still is Baltimore, but it's a hair over Buffalo. Number two, Buffalo I didn't touch at all relative to what we went into the Thursday night game. Watching very closely for Ed Oliver and Matt Milano news. When Ed Oliver comes back, the defense will get a little bit of a nudge up for me, and they might flip. Buffalo might flip to number one. Number three I mentioned was Detroit. Both Philly and Green Bay for me got downgrades this week for various things.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay mostly for injuries on the offensive line and the skill group. They are now the 11th best offense for me, which takes them down to a 3.5, which is fifth best. Philly is down to a 4.1, which is fourth best. Really tough to take many positives away from that Philly win, besides their special teams being a little bit inhuman. What did you downgrade Philly?
A little, but I disagree on there wasn't anything good to take away. Like the fact that they did have the passing game that they could open up in the bag to get them back in that game, that was heartening because I was really worried that this was going to be a what if this OC just doesn't know how to do anything but push the Saquon button and tush push. I got two buttons and it's none of them involve these wide receivers. So it was good to see that Hurts and the wide receivers can still get it done when they need to. And they hadn't really needed to do a big comeback like that. So not as big of a downgrade. The Green Bay stuff, as you mentioned, it's just the skill position group is thin. The offensive line is injured. And the play calling, I guess, is a little tough. It's hard to penalize them too much against a really, really, really good defense. Baltimore took a big step down. Just the defense I didn't have properly rated. The offensive line was a little worse than I thought. And then, like I said, everybody got shuffled. One of the biggest upgrades again is just Indy. And I know they played a dog shit team with a dog shit defense, but they're doing it kind of in all phases, and they need to be, in the mix of teams that should be in the playoffs right now. They should be in the, somewhere in your top 13.
They're in the AFC South.
Well, no, but I mean, just, it's not always going to be my top 14 teams in my power ratings make the playoffs. There's always somebody that's like 20th that ends up with a wild card in the AFC or something, or honestly wins the AFC South as like the 16th best team. But Indy should probably be in your top 10 right now. Just
they're 12th for me.
They're getting enough out of the offense.
Let me go through. I think we're pretty similar top five. So let me go through 6 through 10, and you tell me who deserves to be out, and Indy is in here. Because Indy right now for me is a positive team, but barely. I have them as 8th best offense, 24th best defense. Market says 9th and 21st, so not that far off of market. Market has them 13th overall, pretty similar power number. I'm basically on market Indy. There's a little bit of a tier gap for me after Green Bay 5th. I have Chargers 6th at a 2.3, Rams 7th at a 2.
Same.
I have Bucks 8th at a 1.8. I have Commies 9th at a 1.1, and I have Chiefs 10th at a 1. Chiefs feels very low, I gotta say. But my skill group for them is dragging them down. That's the 7th best offense right now, and until we get Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy back, that unit's just not gonna cover themselves in glory, I don't think.
Yeah.
So any of those teams belong out and Indy's belongs in?
I have Washington out right now because I have a Mariota number in there right now. If I punch it, if I make my adjustment for Jaden Daniels, suddenly they're the 7th best team. So that right now is kind of a wishy-washy
Okay.
hold the fort for right now. I have Kansas City as my 11th best team behind the Colts, which feels
Okay.
fucking sacrilegious. I'm sorry.
That
But right
does.
now, like, the offensive line is not playing nearly well enough. Pat Mahomes isn't playing up to the standard. I think some of that is definitely on the skill position group, but the skill position group right now is pretty tough, and you're not even getting great performance out of Kelsey. In fact, not even good performance out of Kelsey right now. So it's pretty low in the skill position group. That's dragging them down. The defense is fine. So the Chiefs I have is the 12th best offense, 11th best defense, which is impressive. That's a playoff team, but it's just not where we're used to rating these Chiefs. And if Purdy comes back, like, they're kind of in the same range as the Niners, which is crazy. Who the Niners have multiple missing players, just lost a DPOI candidate. And
Yeah,
that's
my
kind of
Niners number went down big time for that.
yeah, it's they're not that far ahead of the Niners. They're kind of in the Niners, Denver, Raiders. Like, the Raiders are not that far. Raiders are a negative number, but the Chiefs are like a 53rd percentile team right now. And they will be higher. This is, I'm looking at them for week 4, how they're going to play with the people that are on this field for them right now. They will go up. We'll get some players back. We'll get some better plays in there. Things will start to click, and they'll be a good team again. But, I mean, they're a good team. They'll be a great team again. So right now I have them behind the Colts and the Seahawks. Feels terrible. Feels terrible to say that out loud. I'm going to get savaged for that sort of thing. But right now my 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is Chargers, Rams, just like you, and then Seahawks, Colts,
Wow.
Chiefs.
Wow.
Tampa not far off, but I don't have the upgrades for Wirfs or Godwin in yet. Tampa likely jumps some of those teams if we get good news on the injury front for anything for them.
I'm expecting both go. I'm at 5 for skill group and 4 for O-line.
Okay, yeah, I'm lower than those. I'm going to bump those up once I get news. So the Tampa number moves up with the good news on the injury report. My new worst team? No, it's Tennessee. Not the worst team. It's still Tennessee.
It's still Tennessee. All right, minus 6 point what?
7.5.
Oh my goodness gracious. Oof. Okay. What so that's a 20th percentile-ish type of team?
22nd percentile team right now.
Holy
Nothing is
shitballs.
Their highest rating is like coverage.
I'm not sure if you saw this, but Peter Skoronski didn't give up a single pressure on Sunday. That was the only positive that they could run around the block. I also will tell you this about Tennessee. I'm ready to write off my Mike McDaniel first coach fired bets as losses. I think Callahan's done. It's so bad what's going on there. The delay of game out of the timeout before attempting the field goal and losing 5 yards on the field goal and missing and then giving up a field goal the other way was really a spectacular sequence for Tennessee against the Colts. He feels done. Yeah, Tennessee's my worst with a bullet. Next worst for me is the Giants and Saints are very, very similarly rated, although I have a rookie making his first start number for Jackson Dart and the Giants quarterback that ultimately could go up where the Giants come out of the bottom 5. I wouldn't be shocked. New Orleans is down there. Carolina's down there. But again, this brings back the question of how in the world is New England a 5 going on 6-point favorite here. I have New England as a minus 2.5 right now. I have Carolina as a minus 4. So how in the world is the gap so big that we're getting out to 6?
Just when we'll get into this a little more tomorrow on the big show, but one of my biggest disagreements is that the New England line with Carolina, I might have to go back to the well. The other one is New Orleans Buffalo, which, it's a big disagreement, but the difference between 13 and 16 is not the same as the difference between 1 and 4. Obviously, I should be doing this sort of thing on percentage for money line if I really want to judge what the real biggest disagreements are. Obviously, I disagree with the line on Thursday. I bet Seattle. I don't know what to do with some of these. I don't know what to do with the London game and a few other ones. We're waiting on quarterback news. But yeah, I will almost certainly have another week of feeling terrible about having Carolina in the account and then hopefully feeling good about it later.
I have 2 key questions for you. Ready? Chicago offense is rated what for you now?
Oh, this is a good one. Because I have them a little higher. That is my 11th ranked offense.
Wow. Chicago?
Yeah, I have to look at that.
Wow.
It's just well, and the truth of it, it's like 5 for quarterback, 5.2 for offensive line, 5.3 for skill group. Like it's a low bar to clear right now to be a really, really good offense, apparently. Basically tied with man.
Okay. Basically, I have been basically tied with like Vegas. A little bit worse than San Fran.
I have Vegas a little worse.
All right. Where is your offensive rating right now for Atlanta?
21st.
Wow. Okay.
You know what? You know what's bringing them up? They've actually had pretty good offensive line play. All things considered.
Yeah. It's been better than everybody guessed.
It's been surprising to the good. The skill position group obviously is still elite. They're just not properly utilizing them, and the quarterback play is much worse than I thought we were going to get, with some pretty smart people being very pro Penix to start this season.
How do you think the move of Zach Robinson from the box to the sideline is going to work out?
Feels desperate, and that's what I was going to mention. So if Callahan is in a situation where they're like, all right, we got to get rid of this guy, but let's just wait till the end of the season, because what's the difference? Yes. Houston and Atlanta are dark horses for coach firings as well.
Houston,
well, I just think you come in that first year, man, you had some high expectations. If they continue to have trouble with the curve, I don't know. They can move on. I don't know how they feel. I don't know how the whole situation is. Just kind of looking at all right, you got a new coordinator, and this is how we're going to look. Like, you got nothing else to blame it on. And I wonder if he's going to start entering that hot seat conversation here later in the season. But Atlanta feels like we're getting there, because you've already done something where they fired the wide receiver guy. They're making the OC get down on the field. So Atlanta's probably entering the Thunderdome too.
Okay. What's your Minnesota quarterback number?
2.7.
Okay, I'm at a 3. I felt like I was flattering Mr. Wentz.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to use that one game where the defense put you in such good game state immediately.
Yeah, and with Darisaw back, is your offensive line above neutral, or are you right around neutral?
I'm right around neutral there.
Okay. How about your quarterback number for Cincy?
Still, we have data that this guy had played well in the past. It was a very bad game. It's a 2. It's a 2 still.
It's a 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Higher or lower than like Spencer Rattler?
Same. Tied.
Okay. Higher or lower than Tua? What's your Tua number right now?
Tua has been okay at times. Tua is like a 3 and a 3.3. He can still make some throws.
No major disagreements with any of this stuff. All right. So in order to get New England up to, I guess the Drake May question and New England's quarterback number might be what's driving people enthusiasm to bet New England. 100%. If you put New England's number up there, and honestly, again, like Carolina has absolutely no pass rush to speak of, so New England's offensive line is not going to be an issue. This could be the game where Drake May just utterly flexes. If he is above a 5 out of 10 here, then you do start to see a little bit of space between these teams. So maybe that's the issue. Anyway, all right, let's let's wrap. I don't have any other questions of note, but God damn it, there's a lot of moving parts right now.
Yeah. I'm going to spend most of the rest of the day goofing off with my numbers, watching some replays of a couple games, and we'll get some final numbers, and we'll talk tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central. We'll do all of the games and go through some bets. And then you guys can bet the opposite of that and then follow us on the second halves. I think it's a bounce back week for us. I think it's a bounce back week for us too.
I read the rules about Circuit of the Millions and how to win the booby prize yesterday. If you want to know what kind of headspace I'm in. First quarter is just weeks 1 through 4, so I'm probably not getting the first quarter booby.
No, there was a couple people that were